slaves and go and sell them at a fee. Can you imagine selling a fellow human being just because you need money? Selling a fellow human being just because you need some of these small gifts? These things happened in the days of slave trade. Slave traders never came here and took slaves just by force. They negotiated with the local chiefs, and the local chiefs, driven by the desire for material gain, they sold their own children who have suffered in the foreign land for many years up to this present day. I therefore want to advise you that yes, wherever you are, do not take anything for granted. In this present day today here, we are talking and advocating for change. This has happened. We are talking and advocating for change. But who is supposed to bring this change? Why do we even have to speak about change on things which look to be so obvious? Things which government can be able through administrative structures to enforce, and everybody will be able to comply, because government is a sovereign state, it has machinery to give directives, and all of us will comply. But you see, people in government refuse to use their positions. They refuse to use authority. They refuse to use the power, especially when it comes to benefiting the common people. And this is why I have a problem with governments. You know, you have the power. You have the means to direct. I want ABCD to be done. But it is not done. Why? There is no goodwill. People are not interested. They are instead conspiring with people who are oppressing the masses. And that's why I'm telling you, please do not entirely rely on government. Do not entirely rely on your employers. Do not entirely rely on the trade unions. So that in the event you see there is something that is not right, you must question. And how are you going to do this? I'm inviting you to be part of this social movement so that we can work together to bring about this change. We can work together to ensure that people who are holding positions of authority come to a point where they will know, yes, we must be able to respect the will of the people, because in one way or the other, we have mistreated them. I want to give examples of what is really happening in many workplaces. I want to give examples of what is happening in many. You see, workers in Uganda, the reason I continue speaking about the poor state of the workers, of the working terms and conditions of service, the workers of Uganda, the poor state in which the workers of Uganda are serving, is because some of these things are really so painful. Imagine a person cannot eat even a single meal a day. You struggle very hard to have a single meal in a day. Painfully, you have a single meal in a day. Well, what is this really? In a country like Uganda, a person cannot have even 2 meals in a day. You just struggle to have a single meal, and a very large one at that. Well, what is really happening with us? We are just barely 45 million people. With such a beautiful land, we have literally everything that anybody anywhere in the world should be able to have in terms of environment. We have land, very fertile land. But still we have workers serving in this very beautiful country, barely having the means to have a single meal a day. What is this? And when shall such people be helped? This is they have to walk miles and miles to reach place of work. You have to walk long distances because you have no money to pay transport. So you start early enough to start walking so that you can be able to reach your workplace on time. Sometimes you enter workplace when you are wet because it's rainy season such as it is now. What do? People are sleeping in shacks. A worker sleeps in a shack. A place where a human being cannot even, there is no furniture, there is literally nothing. You visit. I'm soon going to start showing you pictures so that you people will understand the things I'm talking about. Because when I speak these things, some people think maybe I'm just exaggerating. But I've visited people's homes. I've visited workplaces. I have seen what is happening there. Someone sleeps in a shack, a makeshift structure, so that he can wake up very early in the morning to go and work, because the money they get cannot afford to pay them, to rent for them a decent house, even a single room. Some of them have got to stay in one single room, maybe 5 of them, so that they can be able to contribute maybe 20,000 or 15,000, so that they can rent a place, a number of 5 of them, men or women, separately, staying together. See that kind of life. Some of them sleeping on mats. They can't afford to raise money to buy a mattress so that they can sleep, and they have children. Now, if you are going to have 5 men sleeping in a single room, and each one of them is supposed to participate in procreation, each one of them has got a wife also, how do you expect those people to live? What kind of life is this that we are subjecting our people to? And for how long shall they continue serving under this kind of conditions? This is not right. This is not right. And these are things that must be addressed. We are having people who are working under very hazardous working conditions. There are some employers in Uganda who really behave like animals. You know very well that the conditions under which people are working are really not good. But because of the desire for money, you don't seem to care. You are subjecting workers to serve under very hazardous working conditions. And as a result of which they get injured. And when they get injured, they are not treated. No treatment. There are employers who don't treat their workers when they are injured. Even when the law provides that an injury a worker suffers on duty is supposed to be a liability of the employer. You are supposed to treat the worker. You are supposed to compensate that worker if there is any permanent incapacity that the worker suffered. But these things are not happening, and the laws are there. Enforcement of these laws is another very big challenge. You come and present a case before a government officer. This worker must. Government officers also look to be helpless. Labor officers are not respected. Now, who is then going to enforce? You get an employer, a labor officer, someone is him, an employer can't go there. He thinks it's very important. When a labor officer insists, you see someone with now having to communicate. I have to talk to someone from above. And indeed they do. And you find some of these people coming even from very high offices, coming to threaten a labor officer for pursuing an employer who actually has acted in breach of the law. What is this? These are the kind of conditions workers are working in. People get injured, you can't compensate them. Their legs are cut off, their hands are cut off, their backs are, some of them are broken. People are suffering permanent incapacities, and we cannot even be able to ensure that we help them to get treatment. We can't help them to get compensation. I have come to work when I'm in good condition. I'm in good health. I've come to work in your company. I'm in good health. I am paid very little money. I get injured. You can't treat me. You can't compensate me. I leave work. I go back. I cannot do any other thing. I end up dying miserably. Workers end up dying miserably. What then was the purpose of this job? Why would anyone have this type of a job? You earn very little money. Really, this type of working terms and conditions of service, and you get people very proud that we have created employment. My friend, which type of employment is this year you creating? We want you to stand up one day, you people in government, to start explaining to us what kind of employment is this are you creating? If it is nothing else but slavery, if a worker is going to serve under these conditions, look what at these conditions I am enumerating. And also compare those conditions with the condition that they existed in the days of slave trade. And tell me that there is you are doing better. There are things that we keep explaining to show that yes, people have freedom. People have freedom to do what? Some people even would say, maybe slave days of slave trade, I was working in my master's house, I was enjoying it. By the way, there are some people in the days of slave trade who enjoyed life. Don't think that every